Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the team, there is a fabulous set of personality जो आज इस हमारी beautiful team को appreciate करने वाले हैं और बहुत सारी चीजें बताने वाले हैं. Next, I'm going to be inviting on the stage is Mr. Dilip Raghavan. Ladies and gentlemen, he is our keynote speaker for the evening right here. Mr. Dilip Raghavan is the MD of Color Publication. Yes, of course. आपके applause यहाँ पर gentleman के लिए रहनी चाहिए while I talk about the amazing things about the gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dilip Raghavan is the MD of the Color Publication Private Limited, India's oldest publishing house for techno-commercial journals in India. He is the editor-in-chief for the 7 journals being published by them in the various fields like coatings, plastics, polymers, packaging, textile, inkjet printing, 3D printing, personal home care, pharma, etc. And of course, all these are titles and the disputed leaders in the space in India. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about he was an instrumental in forging an alliance with the European Coating Show Alliance. He contributes to be the majority stakeholder and the MD of Expo Nova exhibition and conferences. And also, he frequently represents India and the industry that he serves through his publication and international forums, both as a media representative and at times as a country speaker. It gives me an immense pleasure to invite on the stage our keynote speaker, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dilip Raghavan. Give it up.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Always a pleasure to be back here. I think the introduction that was made to me might be a bit longer than the speech I make today. So sorry about that. Next time I have to remind myself to give a more brief introduction. So when Jatin and Sanjeev were rightly introduced as Jay and Veeru, I was a bit concerned that I might be introduced as, I don't know, Thakur, Samba, or worse still, Basanti or Danno. So luckily I had a more formal introduction that was given. Since I have been given the honor, not for the first time, consistently ever since IPCA's formation and the convening of the biennial conferences, I have been given this platform, this privilege, this respect of being a keynote speaker or a plenary speaker or just one of the speakers, and it's something I take very, very seriously, because besides other things, it is a chance for me to communicate with all of you, representatives of the paint industry whom I serve through our various activities, be it the publication, the conferences, or the trade show. This time around, the subject that was given to me was a subject that is, of course, important, and it is the flavor of the day, consolidation in the Indian coatings industry. All of you would probably remember there was this famous ad that was there, you know, of the perfume, the deodorant, Fog. So the ad goes, "Aur kya chal raha hai aajkal?" And they say, "Fog chal raha hai." So this is the fog moment in our Indian industry, where no matter what happens, when you go and ask somebody what's happening in the industry, "Kya chal raha hai?" They say, "Consolidation chal raha hai." Now, yeah. So it seems to be the flavor of the day, consolidation chal raha hai. Now let's try and really understand what this consolidation is, what it means for us. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it something we should be a part of? Is it something that we should resist? Let's just first try and objectively, in a very simple way, understand what this consolidation really is all about. So, put very simply, let's not overanalyze it. Let's not, get into jargon. Consolidation is basically the process of buying or selling or collaborating. And when you talk of buying, selling, or collaborating, you could be talking of companies as a whole. You could be talking of stakes in certain companies. You could be talking of assets, buying out of assets, selling of assets, sharing of capacities, brands. There are companies who lend brands to the other. There are companies who buy and sell brands. There is also technology. For an industry like ours, technology is a very, very important component, and not everyone focuses on technology. Not everyone has access to technology. So there is a possibility of this technology also being a part of this consolidation game, where somebody chooses to borrow technology or source technology or even use someone else's technology. Then, of course, geographies. There are geography-specific elements of consolidation. We saw very recently certain paint companies selling their businesses in certain geographies. It need not be a company level transaction. It could be something that's confined to a certain geography also. Then it's also the matter of people. This is more a question of why does this happen? Because when somebody wants to expand their business, one of the limiting factors could be the access to quality manpower. And if there is a particular company who has this strength in manpower, obviously it makes sense for then two companies to collaborate and use shared resources, or for a company to acquire another company and in doing so acquire this human bank, as they call it, of manpower, of skilled manpower, of semi-skilled manpower. And of course there is also the matter of internal consolidation, where companies try to merge business divisions, divest business divisions, demerge business divisions just to help realize profits better or to streamline their operations. So this, ladies and gentlemen, in a very, very simplistic way is what consolidation is all about. Now let's look at it in the context of our industry. Why is this happening? Is this a good thing? So obviously we are seeing a lot of changes in our industry, tectonic changes in our industry, where you have a lot of new companies coming in with big capacities. You're seeing a generational change where at least when I look at it, when I joined the industry, the people who are leading the industry, leading the respective companies that constitute our industry, we see them, there is a turnaround where a lot of people are retiring, a lot of people are striving to pass on the mantle to the next generation. Maybe the next generation is interested, maybe they are not, maybe they are capable, maybe they are not. So obviously this is one of the causative factors why we are seeing companies probably evaluating the next step of their strategy. Should we continue? Should we grow? Should we take a step back? Should we sell? So this is one of the factors that's also contributing to this consolidation. Then of course, businesses are becoming more and more global. While our paint industry per se is pretty much a local industry as a paint manufacturing entity, okay, the buying of paint, the selling of paint, the consumption of paint is still a very localized phenomenon in India. You don't have too many imports, so you don't have too much of exports of paints. But the raw material industry, the application industry, the user industry is now a part of a global village, as they say. And a lot of dynamics are there. There are considerations related to foreign exchange. There is the situation with tariffs, which as things stand does not directly impact our industry, but there will be a cascading effect in terms of consumption, whether for good or bad. So we are living in a very, very transient world. And honestly, it's not everyone's cup of tea to be able to keep abreast of or stay in tandem with the kind of changes that are happening. So those who are able to adapt to this change, they are the ones who choose to remain in business, who continue in business. And the way businesses work nowadays, staying afloat or remaining at the same place is not really an option. So you're talking of actually growing your business organically or inorganically, which is again what consolidation is all about. So if we try and look at our industry right now, it's a very, very interesting phase. We are at a crossroads where we must understand and drill into our minds that the basics of our industry are standing on very, very robust fundamentals. The demand, whether in the housing segment, whether in the automotive segment, whether in the white goods segment, the sheer infrastructure that we are seeing that is being built in our country today, all of these are factors that are propelling the growth of our industry. So first and foremost, let's be extremely clear that we are an industry where the prospects in future are very, very bright. Now we come to a question of which of us is actually going to be able to capitalize on this. And that is where I come to a matter of, this is something else I also wanted to speak about. Maybe I'll speak about it in a short while. So the question is, which of us is actually going to be a winner in this particular game? And that is where we have to look at, define goals for ourselves, define our strengths. Where are we headed with our particular business? the biggest danger that you can have in your business today is to drift, is to just say, jo chal raha hai, wo chalne do. Not have a clear strategy, not have a clear vision, not have an idea of where our business is heading, what could be the weaknesses, what could be the opportunities, what could be the challenges. This is very, very important for all of us to identify and to act upon and to strategize our business on these particular lines. Coming back to the consolidation piece that I was talking about. Now, in consolidation, ladies and gentlemen, please understand, timing is everything. I was talking to somebody this morning and we were talking about how timing can actually determine your fortunes. So there was, we gave the example of a particular entrepreneur from many, many years ago, where at a particular point in time, his company was valued at its peak. He was probably qualified to be the richest person in India the way his business was going. And in a matter of 6 months, because of certain external factors, the business factors were not conducive, probably his internal strategy was not correct, the business actually shut down. So similarly in consolidation, when you are entering into a consolidation is basically between two or more entities. And depending on the timing, depending on how desperate the buyer is, depending on how desperate the seller is, depending on the macroeconomic situation at that particular point, that could be the difference between you getting a windfall or you actually getting nothing out of your business. So timing is very, very critical in this particular consolidation game. A small example is, let's, again, as I said, it does not affect our industry. But if we are talking of some of the changes that are happening today in GST, in tariffs, now if the new GST regime is going to be favorable for your business, and imagine somebody had entered into a negotiation or had gotten into a consolidation phase pre-GST as compared to post-GST. This simple little GST phenomenon or the tariff phenomenon could have been a difference in 10x valuation for your company. So again, when you are getting into a consolidation phase, it has to be evaluated, it has to be tempered, and it has to be qualified in the context of the timing. What do you think is going to happen to your business? Are there going to be headwinds? Are there going to be tailwinds? Are the next 6 months favorable for you? Are the next 6 months unfavorable for you? And this factor must be taken into deep cognizance when you're actually planning your strategy for consolidation. There is also the matter of players. Now, one more point I wanted to make here was conventional wisdom tells us that it is the big company acquiring the small company. It is the multinational acquiring the Indian company. It is a professional company acquiring the family-owned business. While this was probably true a few decades ago, things have changed. The risk appetite of entrepreneurs, the sheer potential that is there in our country, in our industry, the availability of funds through various sources, through HNIs, through the stock market, through venture capitalists and private equity players means that there is all the rules are off the table. I can quote multiple examples in our industry itself, in our chemical industry. UPL buying out Arista, a company that is 4 times its size. More recently, Aurobindo Life Science, Aurobindo Pharma putting in a bid for Zentiva, which is again 6 times the company's size. Kiri Dyestuffs, an Ahmedabad-based company, buying out Dystar, the world's largest dyestuff company, about 15 years ago. So there are so many examples of these kind of unconventional acquisitions or unconventional consolidations where you need not, it's not a hierarchical thing. It's not about which company is bigger or which company is smaller or weaker or stronger. It is governed by the vision that the particular entrepreneurs or the leadership in that particular segment has and where they look at the industry going. And again, it's also, I spoke about the reasons. What are your succession plans? How bullish are you about your business? How confident are you about your business? And then valuations. Let's not forget, everything comes at a particular price point. So it's, if somebody comes and tells you that the best particular paint company in India today is up for sale, The answer is not, yes, I want to buy it, or no, I don't want to buy it. The critical answer is, what is the cost? At what value are you getting it? And that value, of course, then has a deeper meaning. So you have to look at it as a function of timing, as a function of value, and as a function of your future strategy. And then again, related to this is the end game. I think what all of us do very well in our business is we know the dynamics, we know the profitability, we know the customers, we know technology. But somewhere it is always good to define an end game for all of us in terms of where we want to see, where we see our business heading. What do we eventually want to do with our business? Do we want to pass it on to the next generation? Do we want to expand into other geographies? Do we want to create new business entities in it? So always have an end game defined, because that end game will help you define your strategy for whatever you want to do. This is a slide that I had included for two reasons. One is I did not know how much time I have, but clearly I am going to be exceeding my time if I go deep into this. The second reason why I included it is the fundamental question in everyone's mind is, what is going to happen to the MSME? Everything that I say, probably if you trust it to be true, consolidation being a good thing, being an imperative, but is it really in the context of our paint industry? Is it going to be harmful to the MSME industry? Some of you might remember I had actually made a small presentation on the concept of coexistence between the large players in the paint industry in India and the MSME, as we call it. Okay, so the headline or the takeaway from this particular slide, which again I'm not going to go into in great depth, is there are immense opportunities for collaboration. And each of these bullet points actually points to how this collaboration can happen. Okay, whether it is in terms of off-spec materials, whether it's smaller batch sizes, contract manufacturing, technology transfer. All of these are real, live, and valid examples of how the MSMEs can collaborate with the larger players. Once again, that discussion for another day, but what we must understand is our industry today, at the risk of being repetitive, we are a $10 billion industry. No matter what happens, I am ready to stick my neck out and commit. Within 6 years, we will reach a scale of 20 billion US dollars. So there is, and this is the clear line of sight path. There's going to be immense value that's going to be created. And I strongly believe that this growth of 10 billion to 20 billion is not going to be the domain of 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 or 10 players. In terms of the number of paint manufacturers in our country, we are well over 1,000. Consensus could be different, but I think we are more than 3,000 paint manufacturers. I wish, I hope, and I believe that many of us who constitute this paint industry, this growth, this well-being would pass on to multiple players in the industry, provided everyone can look at this consolidation, can look at opportunities for collaboration in a positive way, and look at areas of differentiation for themselves. So, in my brief presentation, this is the last few points that I wanted to make. First and foremost, please, once again, this consolidation is real. It is happening as we speak. It is not a new phenomenon. We have seen enough of consolidation happening in the past. Probably it was a bit under the radar because it was confined to smaller pockets. It was not so well documented. The media was not, it was not so well publicized in mainstream media. But this consolidation is real. We have to accept and embrace it. We cannot be the proverbial, बिल्ली वाली कहानी है कि मैंने अपनी आंखें बंद कर ली तो दुनिया मुझे देख नहीं सकता है. This consolidation is happening around us. What would be in our interest is to make ourselves capable of being a participant in this consolidation. Whether you choose to do it or not, which opportunity you pick, which opportunity you reject is a secondary matter. बोलते हैं ना कि आप शादी के लायक तो बनो, करना या नहीं करना आपके हाथ में है. But at least be worthy of it. It will ensure that you introduce a certain amount of discipline, you become more well informed in your particular operations, and you have a greater exposure to what's happening in the world out there. As I said, please define short, mid and long-term strategies for your own business. You are the best judges of your own business. Don't let others come and dictate what you should be doing. You know your aspirations, you know your business models better. But please try and understand if and where consolidation is going to be a part of it. If you want to reach a certain thing 3 years from now, 10 years from now and 15 years from now, is it something you can be doing on your own? Or are you going to be needing to become a part of this whole consolidation process, no matter which the mode is? You know, I described the modes earlier. Is consolidation something that you are going to have to embrace to achieve some of these goals? A very, very important point, all of us are seeing it in the world, no matter what, whether it's me in the service parlance, whether it's a distributor, it's a raw material manufacturer or a paint manufacturer. Business models will not work in perpetuity. I have done this the same way in the last 20 years, so it is going to continue for the next 20 years. This is the most dangerous assumption and a fundamentally flawed assumption in today's world. You have to be agile, you have to identify how the world is working around you, and believe me, changes are coming. They are coming as we speak. You have to be alert to it and you have to be responsive to these changes. The good thing in all of this is the good old virtues of having a core skill, technology, marketing, manpower, whatever your differentiation is. What is the USP that you have? What is the competitive moat that you have for your business? This is going to continue to remain your secret sauce. This is going to continue to be what really helps you survive amongst this madness. Brand building is more important than ever. Okay, I see the clock has wound up also. I'll not take more than the next 2 or 3 minutes. Brand building is very, very important. The one common thing that runs across all of the consolidations, the mergers, the acquisitions, the technology transfer that we described, it was the balance sheets, the profitability, the turnover, all the numbers were just a guiding force to determine whether the transaction goes through and at what value it goes through. But the primary criterion for even evaluating a particular company as a consolidation worthy partner was invariably the brand. Please try and understand today, no matter how well your business is doing, if you don't have a brand, and my definition of brand is not mainstream media with a Bollywood actor endorsing your product. It means the brand equity, the brand value, and what your brand means to both your peer industry and your customers. This is the most important thing. Please, if I may take the liberty of telling all of you, beginning this very moment, whatever it takes to boost your brand, become a better brand in the eyes of your customers and your peer industry, please start doing whatever it takes right now. Talking about our country, and this is really the last point that I'll be making, please understand that this is the time for India. We have a golden future of at least 2 decades. I'm still being very conservative. At least 2 decades of a golden era awaiting us. You look at the kind of systemic changes that are happening within our country, within our financial systems, export opportunities, domestic consumption, a base of 1.4 billion people, whether it's electronics, whether it's the automotive industry, whatever segment you're talking about, there are opportunities galore, and within these opportunities, everywhere the paint industry will have a role to play. So, please ensure that you continue to look at these opportunities, identify what are the opportunities that are there around us, and be a part of it. I'm just going to narrate one very, very small thing, which in the context of my business was a very powerful endorsement of us as a country and us as an industry. You obviously know that we publish Paintindia, the magazine, and as a part of our activity, we publish a lot of interviews. So my senior colleague, Mr. Radhakrishnan, is also there. I was just discussing with him, because we are also looking at global publications, right? What are the global publications doing? And 3 or 4 months ago, we published an article, you know, in the same edition of Paintindia. We published an article. There were 2 stories where one was about an MSME expanding capacity, and one was about one of the larger players also setting up a big capacity and a laboratory. And that same month, in one of the global publications, so in Paintindia, which is about the Indian paint industry, we were talking about how a company is setting up a new factory, setting up a new facility, and one was an MSME and one was a large player. And in this global publication, there was an interview of another paint manufacturer in some of the Eastern European countries. And the headline for that particular interview was, in spite of these difficult times, we are managing to survive. This stark difference of one publication representing one geography, for them, the fact that that company is saying that we are still somehow managing to survive was the headline. And here, just for fun, every day we are witnessing companies expanding. Today we are seeing one of the paint companies, one of the leaders, announcing a new investment in Madhya Pradesh for 2,000 crores. Now, this is the country and this is the economy, this is the industry, this is the time we are all blessed to be in. So please be a bit respectful of it, be a bit cognizant of it, and take a little bit of pride in what we have. We really have a very, very good story going for us. So let's embark on that. In this particular story of the Indian paint industry, we are all worthy participants. All of us are working hard, doing well for ourselves. Let's continue to do that. Let's continue to build the brand of the Indian paint industry collectively. Individually, all of us will, of course, stand to benefit. And last but not the least, the theme of my subject, consolidation. Please be aware of it. Please understand what it takes. Understand it in the context of your business. The good thing is, in our industry, we are an industry where, in spite of being competitors at certain levels, we are all ready to exchange information. We are all ready to stand by each other. So please take the help of your senior colleagues who have witnessed this firsthand or who might have more exposure to this. Personally, myself and as Paintindia, if we can ever be of any assistance, we are just, needless to say, just a shout away. So yeah, that's whom we are. As I said, next year we complete 75 years as a publication. We are very, very proud to, all said and done, we are a humble servant to this industry, serving you through this publication. Even when people are cynical about publications, we still believe that dissemination of knowledge, market information holds a lot of value, and that's what we'll continue to do. Of course, our magnum opus, the Paintindia exhibition, is fast approaching, 19 to 21st February 2026 in Mumbai. For those who have seen the Paintindia exhibition in the past in Mumbai, just as a perspective, if you remember earlier, we used to choose and pick certain halls within the larger venue. This time we have taken the entire venue. That is the kind of growth we are anticipating with Paintindia. And once again, this is not just self-promotion. Again, the belief is that finally we as Paintindia are a reflection of the fortunes of the Indian paint industry. And the fact that we are growing in this phenomenal manner, headed to being the largest paint show in the world by 2030, is nothing but a reflection of all of your efforts in helping the industry grow and the potential that our industry and our country carries for us. So on that note, do excuse me for overshooting my time by 5 minutes. Thanks for your attention, and look forward to engaging with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session right here. I'm pretty much sure there is a great set of learnings amongst the whole and the bunch of people right here. I request you to please come right there on the stage, and requesting our Honorable President, Shri Rohit Dugal, sir, to please come forward and felicitate our Honorable Speaker on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Mr. Dilip Raghavan. What an insightful session that was. Deserves a better applause, and hand in hand, everyone. Can we hear it out? Can we have the energy in the house? A huge round of applause for Dilip, sir, for sharing the insightful journey. Thank you so much.